Hello, clever engineers. Today, we're going to talk about 5 things that cause me to choose, purchase, and carry a tool. Maybe some of these things will work for you as well. So let's get into it. First, we have cost, country of origin, and construction quality. These are all really one factor because they are so closely related. So we'll talk about some screwdrivers here that are in the middle of the table to explain. So we have the Snap-on, cost around 80 US dollars, and it's a small stubby screwdriver. Is it worth spending that much money on a tool like this? In a word, yes. It is worth every penny because of the quality, fit and finish, the way it fits in your hand, the materials, everything that will make it perfectly comfortable and smooth and reliable for years. So I'm not advocating that everybody spends that much on a little screwdriver like this. In fact, we'll talk about a lot more budget-oriented options. But this is really as good as it gets. Made in one of the finest tool factories in the world in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We have a competitor like PB Swiss that's right up there, price and quality-wise. And those are amazing as well. But if you think, oh, I only use a screwdriver twice a year, maybe I can get an $8 or $10 one that also comes with a whole bunch of accessories and bits, all for $8 to $10. You're sorely mistaken because number one, when you need it, it might break on you. But even more significantly, if it messes up your fastener, it's going to cost you a lot more than $8 and possibly a lot more than $80 to make that right. So 100% avoid any of the no-name tools. They're made from questionable materials, no quality control. But if you're looking for a more budget-friendly option, or you don't use it as often, or both, this Vessel brand, it's a Japanese brand, factories in Thailand, so around $13. It came with a JIS bit, a long bit, a little bit different from a Phillips, but looks quite similar. But the main reason I got it was for this ratcheting top. And of course, it's not comparable to the Snap-on, but it is relatively comfortable, useful, reliable. It's a good tool, especially for the price. It is a great tool. That's really the minimum. You're only spending a couple of dollars more. You're not getting all the bits and accessories you'd get with those no-name $8 or $10 sets. But you see, I put in this little magnetic extension and a Phillips bit, and turned it into something that is decent and usable and perfectly acceptable at a very reasonable price point. But the takeaway here, avoid the no names. You will regret it if you think you're being penny wise, but you're actually being pound foolish. Something in between, this Wera. This is what I'd consider an upper mid-level tool. Um, very, very nice quality, good hand feel. It's a German company, factories in the Czech Republic. They are super solid. This tip right here, it's they call it laser tip. It's sandblasted and etched. It won't let go of the fastener. I highly recommend them as something that a lot more reasonable than the Snap-on or PB Swiss. We'll move on now to access to work. Now, you can have a tool that is a great quality tool from a solid brand. We have this Dewalt bit extension here, and you can see I have some Dewalt power tools on the back of the table that I'll talk about later. But this has an enormous design flaw that severely limits your access. So this big collar that's right at the end, if you try to use this in a tight spot, you're not going to even be able to touch your fastener. So you can see that I tried to use it. This is a real world scenario here. So I tried to use it on that screw, and it doesn't even reach because that collar is just so bulky. So something that you really need to consider when you make your tool choices. Now, to contrast, we have what I call the king of access. This little ratchet slash bit driver contraption. It's a Vim Tools. There are other brands. I know Harbor Freight makes one in their higher end Icon line that comes with a set of bits in a case. But what makes this so nice and turns it into the king of access are all the different configuration options. So you see it has this locking swiveling head that lets you get at fasteners that are at an odd angle. It has this little extension, um, so it's magnetic. It comes with a bit driver to socket adapter for a 1/4 inch. You can also use that adapter right in the super compact head as a ratchet, and it's quite strong as well. And then, of course, you can put the whole thing together. You can swivel the head so you get a little bit more leverage on it while it's very long and accesses things that are farther away or deeper. Now, you can see it has this white dot, and there's a little ridge on the extension. So if you line those up, it turns it into a T-handle. So you still have your access to tight spots as well as a lot of leverage. So this is such a thoughtfully designed tool that I highly recommend, and will give you access to so many different fasteners in very tough situations. Now, moving on, we have usefulness. So we'll talk about some of these pry bars on the table. Of course, we have this full-size one. It's very obvious what it does and what it's useful for. Now, this right here, it's a Titan. It's a pretty comfortable and strong Taiwanese brand. The metal goes all the way to the back. It's also a Titan. This is in my EDC tool pouch. It's a scraper pry bar. It's gotten me out of a jam literally a couple of times. Has a nail extractor there as well. Now, as far as something that is not useful, we have this pocket wrench. Now, this purports to also have a pry bar, a 1/4 inch bit holder, a flathead screwdriver, a wrench that's useful for allegedly all sorts of bolts and nuts. Problem is, in the real world, it's not useful for anything. It's too short to be an effective pry bar. The 1/4 inch holder doesn't actually hold anything because there's no lock. You also have these uh, 30-in-1, 40-in-1 credit card size tools, and uh, they fit in your wallet and supposed to replace a whole bunch of full-size tools. In reality, they don't replace anything. And you might think, well, is carrying one in my wallet better than not carrying a tool at all? No, because it's not useful. If it's not going to have any sort of purpose, then spend that $30 or so that it costs on something like the King of Access, because you're going to just get so much more use out of it. And it's the usefulness is it's really a top criteria. These gimmicky tools, they have no use, they have no purpose, so avoid them. Now, this Crimper strimper right here, something that I've had for a long time, and I want to talk a little bit about upgrading and when it's worth it. So it's old, but it's not worn out by any means. Still works well. I upgraded to this Klein Kurve for a couple of reasons. It is more comfortable, but the main reasons were actually the increased usefulness. So you can see that we have a multi-gauge stripper. It actually has a lot more openings, especially for fine gauge wire that I work with regularly with access control security and things like that. So I don't have to carry a dedicated stripper. It also has this little Scotch lock crimper in the back. So if I'm working with a relatively small amount of Scotch lock connectors, I don't have to carry a dedicated tool for that either. So it's going to just give me a lot more usefulness and eliminate the need to carry 2 additional tools. So that was the main reason for the upgrade. Now let's move on to size and weight. So we have on the other side of the table some precision screwdrivers. So we have these General brand, and I use these all the time. I just don't carry them with me. So they have these swivel tops, very, very good quality, but they take up a lot of space. They're big. They're also, I have an iFixit kit that has a super nice driver with a bunch of bits in a big plastic case. Instead, I went with, for what I actually carry in my EDC tool backpack, this Hoto. It's a Chinese brand. Comes in around $22, $23 on Amazon. There's usually a coupon that gets you to that price point. It has 12 double-ended bits, so 24 different fasteners that you can work with. It has a really nice ball-bearing swivel top. It's quite smooth. I also, for some extra access, I carry this little magnetic bit extension around also. So we have the ability to work on a lot of different precision fasteners, and compared to plastic case solution, takes up maybe 75% less space, as well as being much lighter. So that's why I think size and weight is a really important consideration. Now, a couple of other examples. This is from my car emergency kit. So that ratchet that you're seeing, that is the upgrade. It's an Aries tool 120 tooth quarter-inch ratchet. Super strong, super smooth, and quite compact and light. Now, what it replaced, this old well-worn ratchet that I just put down, it's much larger, much bulkier. Also doesn't have the access that the smaller one does because it has a bulkier head. But this newer one, it's just it's smaller, it's lighter, it's stronger, so everything about it is better. So again, a good reason to upgrade. Now, while we're talking about reasons to upgrade, we have some water pump pliers. You can see these old Craftsman, very good quality, but they don't open very much. And this Knipex Cobra that I have, it actually opens wider than the Craftsman. So it's such a worthwhile upgrade for size and weight reasons. Now, finally, going to discuss ergonomics and comfort. So you can see these Dewalt power tools in the back. And some people, because Milwaukee, especially with the 12 volt, they're a little bit more compact. I prefer the Dewalt just because of how they fit in the hand. They have such a smooth, ergonomic, comfortable grip, very well balanced, and that's why so that 12 volt impact extreme, that's actually what I keep in my EDC backpack. But you see I have some 20 volt tools as well. Now, thoughtful DeWalt feature, the charger, it's the same for the 12 and the 20 volt batteries. Now, another thing relating to ergonomics and comfort, these 2 amp hour batteries that I use on all my DeWalt tools, of course, you're going to have to swap them more often than if you have a 4 amp hour battery. But if you're going up a ladder, if you're holding it above your head, and it's going to mess with the balance of the tool, the ergonomics. It's just something that having an extra 20 volt, 2 amp hour battery or 12 volt, the smaller battery, and charging the one that you've swapped, it's going to just make everything easier for you because you have the better ergonomics, the better balance, the better comfort. So those are all things that you have to weigh when making these kinds of decisions. Now, this right here, this Knipex Comfort Grip that I'm showing you on that slip joint that I use for extracting damaged fasteners, this Cobra, it has the Comfort Grip available. But I decided to get the regular grips, and you do have to weigh the factors against each other. So here, access and was a little bit more important. So these I'm not going to really be using in a tight space. So I thought the comfort grips were the better option. So just wanted to explain that you do have to weigh these different factors against each other. So kind of giving you my take on why I did what I did there. And when we're talking about comfort, it's another reason those GBs are very comfortable. But these Kleins, they're called Klein Kurve, so they have this nice curved design, and they also have these cushiony handles. So super, super comfortable. Yet another reason that I upgraded. So thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Please like and subscribe. Clever Engineer, out.